Previously on Dr. Plague.
Here's your last task. Turns out the damage done to your switch was more severe than we expected, and there's only one person capable of fixing it. Huh? You see, Mr. Doctor, we are the only people in the world with access to this person, so...
The name! Give me the fucking name!
Dr. Wily. You know what you have to do.
Oh no. Well, it all has come to this. Hello dear patients, your favorite doctor here, Dr. Plague. As you already know, I've battled the Nintendo ninjas for almost a year in order to get my Switch back to a functioning state, and this is the final task in order to accomplish that. The ninjas have told me that in order for them to get my Switch to Dr. Wily for repair, I have to take on the ultimate challenge. So today, we'll be taking a look at... Dear Lord, just uttering its name makes me feel dizzy. It's Mega Man X6. I think that a little context is needed here. I'm not very familiar with the Mega Man games, and no, it's not because I think they're bad or something like that, even though the gaming community is very vocal about the games that they think are horrible. Back when I was a wee little doctor, one day I saw a cool game for the PS1. It had a robot-looking dude in the cover, holding a sword sideways, and as the Simpsons have taught us, holding a weapon sideways looks so cool. So, using some spare plague-arenas from my research funds, I bought the game and went home very excited to play it. That game, of course, was Mega Man X6, and... let's say that my experience with that game was very traumatic. I couldn't beat a single level and dropped it out of sheer frustration. I automatically assumed that all Mega Man games would be this hard, and that's not entirely false. These games are known for being what was known as Nintendo hard back in the day, referring to the high difficulty of games in the NES era. But was I wrong for completely disregarding the series because of one bad experience? I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't blame anyone for not wanting to play another Dark Souls game if Dark Souls 2 was their first experience with the series. Also, Mega Man has some other interesting concepts like the Legends and Battle Network series, but I'm getting out of topic. According to my arcane research, the game had a bit of a troubled development. For starters, series producer Keiji Inafune was not involved in the development of the game, as his original intention was to end the series with Mega Man X5, due to Zero's death at the end of the game. Inafune intended to revive Zero in the Mega Man Zero series, but the plot in X6 rendered his plans nonsensical. In addition, the development schedule for the game was very tight. Mega Man X5 was released on November 30, 2000, while X6 was released in Japan on November 29, 2001, only a year after its predecessor. Because of this, most reviews were not very favorable, citing a recycled narrative as well as a harsh difficulty caused by poor design. Well, maybe I wasn't the only one deeply affected by the experience with the game. As a last trial to get my Switch back, I've been asked to beat Mega Man X6, and I won't lie to you, I'm very scared. So let's just pop the game in and start my arduous journey. Given that I don't know anything about the lore, I won't comment on it, but the starting music fucking slaps. So we start with a scientist finding a piece of junk, and moments later going mad for power. Guess we have our main villain right there. We start our adventure and... oh god, this is one of those games. Immediately I try to use the analog stick and it doesn't fucking work. This is gonna be fun. Guess I have to jump over these wheels. Oh, I could have used this zip line all along. Maybe I was dropped on my head when I was a child. Once you get to the end of the level, you realize that the first boss is a joke. Is this really the game that gave me so much trouble as a child? Come on, this is baby's wait what? There's another boss! Oh, it's one of those unbeatable bosses, of course. After the first level and the cutscenes explaining the story, you get to the bone of the experience, the 8 main levels, represented by each world's boss. I guess I'll start by the default level selected on the cursor, the Amazon area. For this, you can select 2 characters, Falcon or X. I'll just go with X, better safe than sorry. Okay, how the fuck am I supposed to know where to land if I can't see the bottom of the stage? Not to mention these stupid things flying around being a nuisance. The first boss was a kind of robot dragonfly and... well, I actually had more trouble with the spike part of the stage than with the boss. These idiots can't stop me. At least now I'm free from the trauma of not being able to beat a single stage when I was a kid. Take that, Kick Doctor! After this, let's go ahead with the temple area. This level has a very annoying mechanic in the form of acid rain. In some parts it starts raining and it slowly depletes your health. And what's with this section over here? There are enemies in the water that I can't kill, shit flying everywhere and these transporting rods that have to be the most uncomfortable transportation method ever. Well, at least if you get a game over, the game is merciful enough to respawn you on your last checkpoint. At least I finally made it through that part. This is impossible! How am I supposed to get through this part without the air dash? Why was it taken from me? Well, turns out I do have the air dash. I was just unintentionally playing the game on hard mode. Because, as it turns out, X sucks ass. You gotta choose the Falcon armor, otherwise you don't get shit. Let's try another level instead. Look, I'm no expert Mega Man player, but some of the things that this game throws at you are absolutely insane. There's this level where you have to traverse through a factory with a giant robot shooting fireballs from the background. What the actual fuck is this? There are lasers and shit flying everywhere. How are you supposed to dodge all these things? In the levels, you can find a sort of danger zone, and the first time you enter one, you get a fight with Zero. And as far as I've been told, unlocking Zero as a playable character is one of the only ways to have a chance to beat the game. After beating him, you get a cutscene showing how Zero isn't dead at all, and now you can play as him. Once you start playing as Zero, boy, does the game change. It doesn't get any easier, of course, but you definitely feel more powerful to overcome all the bullshit the game throws at you. Then there's the junkyard level. Here you have to pay attention to the giant machine trying to turn you into scrap while also taking care of the multiple enemies scattered around the place. There's a point in the level where you find one entrance to a secret area, but of course we don't want to take that route. Let's go the other way. The path is too long, it's impossible to cross without getting crushed, so what am I supposed to do to finish the level? Of course, you have to take the portal to the secret area. Only that is not a secret area, it's the intended progression path. How is anyone supposed to guess that when it looks exactly like the portal to the secret area? But the level doesn't end here. No, now you have to deal with all the same crap from before and a conveyor belt that slows you down. Plus some spikes to add some fun and a mini-boss just before the actual boss. Okay, I've already fought through 6 of these hellscapes. I must be near beating this game, right? Right? The snow stage has an avalanche mechanic to hinder your advances, and there's also the little detail of this fucking blue shadow that keeps chasing and hitting me. One thing that has to be mentioned about this level is that the ground has ice physics, and you can cling into walls, making traversal even more difficult. Seriously, who came up with this shit? Then there's the ice blocks. You have to wait for them to fall from the sky in order to climb and continue to the next section, and if one of them falls on top of you, it takes quite a lot of health. The last remaining stage is the magma area, and I have the feeling that I'm going to suffer a lot. Right away I can see I was right. There's this giant robotic ball that shoots projectiles at you constantly. You have to attack 4 weak spots and, obviously, damages you if it touches you. How the hell am I supposed to beat this thing? I finally beat this thing. Good fucking riddance. I surely hope I never get one of those things ever again. You gotta be fucking kidding me. After beating that thing again, you get to a fork in the road with 2 ways. I guess I'm taking the bottom part. Oh, come on! For the love of God, why? Okay, I'm finally done with the regular stages. So what happens after you beat them all? You get a cutscene and then there's another stage in the middle of the map, the secret lab. The first part of this level is just brutal. You have walls full of spikes that kill you instantly when you touch them, and they're at the very edge of the platforms you need to get to. I finally made it past the first platforms. Fuck! Okay, you forced me to do this. I need to get my Switch back whatever means necessary. I'm gonna cheat. Yeah, how do you like that, game? Now I have an armor that's invulnerable to spikes. This is great. Even though this armor doesn't have a double jump nor an air dash, making things easier and more difficult at the same time. After you finally get through the hellish gauntlet that is this stage, you get a boss that is just as bullshit as the stage itself, and the nightmare is finally over, right? Right? Of course not! Time to go back to another spike-filled lab stage. I swear, some of the things this game makes you do are just ridiculous. In parts like this, I miss the shadow armor. Then you finally get to beat high max, and that's when you think the game has finally ended. But no, of course not! You get yet another lab stage with our best friends the spikes and some enemies from previous levels. And for some reason you also have the acid rain mechanic from the temple level. Fantastic! After all this torture you finally get to combat the main villain gate. And after you defeat it, this definitely has to be the end of the game. I mean, we beat the final boss, right? Now the game is just fucking with me. After beating Gate, Sigma just comes back and blasts him away and yet another stage appears in the middle of the map. This is just plain cruel. Just let it stop, please. And what do we find in the final stage? More spikes. Of course it has to be spikes. But after the spikes, you finally get to the boss rush, which signals the end of the game. Just beat these pushovers one last time and you finally get to the real final boss. After another very short gauntlet of enemies, of course. The first phase of the fight is a quickly beatable zombie Sigma, but that's not all. Then you get giant golden robot Sigma, which you can only damage once he opens his mouth, and just as the rest of the game, this boss is pure bullshit. It's constantly throwing green goo monsters at you, and when he opens his mouth, it's nearly impossible to attack it without getting horribly murdered by his lasers. But this time, after you beat it, the game is finally over. You get a nice calm cutscene, and the nightmare is finally over. One thing that I found very amusing are the translation errors in this game, due to its rushed development cycle. Some of the ones I found include: there are a few reploids or humans are left on Earth, and a high jump part may be of help. The save menu is kinda fucked up too. Okay to save and save cancel don't look like very natural options to me. Wait a minute, okay to overread cancel? What the hell, man? Oh, I see you, looking at me, expectant for some final thoughts wrapping up my experience with the game. You are that cruel and relentless. So here it goes. Mega Man 6 is possibly the worst gaming experience I've ever had in my entire life. It is beyond my comprehension how people are even able to beat this game without using cheats. The stages in this abomination are brutal beyond reason, with some of the most bullshit stage design I've ever seen. Sure, the bosses are easy in general, except for the final lab bosses, but getting to them is so ridiculously hard that you're already beaten down mentally and emotionally once you reach that final breath. If there's one thing that I can rescue from this pile of garbage, is that when you get a game over you don't have to restart the stage, otherwise this game would be even more impossible to beat. So yeah, go ahead and call it a skill issue or that you beat this game with one hand and blindfolded when you were 6-year-old. That doesn't change the artificial difficulty and bot design of the game.
Tell me when I'm telling lies!
I never want to even come close to a Mega Man game ever again. I should even apologize to Dark Souls 2 for putting it in the same category as this filth. That's how much I hate this game. I did your bidding, so please just give me my Switch back. Finally, I'm home again. I did it. I beat the Nintendo Ninjas and got my Switch working again. It took me almost a year, but I can go back to enjoy all my favorite Switch games again. Wait, there's a note in the back.
Dear Doctor, you have passed your last task. So as promised, here's your copy of Tears of the Kingdom and a functioning Switch. However, just as we feared, our console breaker went a little too far with your Switch, so it was impossible to fix. We had to get you another tablet, but we took the time to install all your games again. This was a fun ride, Mr. Doctor, at least for us, so farewell for now. Take care, Mr. Doctor, until we meet again.
XOXO, the Nintendo Ninjas. Oh well, at least I have a functional Switch again, and all my games are already here, including the cloud saves. Cloud saves. Oh no! My Animal Crossing Island! Damn you, Nintendo!